Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I have a pretty interesting video for you today. So I'm going to be working on my front steps here, but I'm going to be commentating it as I go along because it was a little bit of a disaster, I'll be honest. I don't pretend to know what I'm doing in terms of home renovation and doing it by the book, and it is very apparent in this video if it wasn't already before. So stick with me as I go along. I'm going to try to explain what I was doing and why I did it, and then I'll explain why it was a bad idea. So let's just jump right into it. So this is a photo I took on the very first day I bought the house. As you can see, the shrubs are overgrown. The like garden bed area is just nothing but weeds and dirt. Not a really nice looking place. So fast forward a little bit and I finally get to work on it. But before that, I made a nice like address sign, like the house number sign. And as you can see, this was the countertop on the first day before I redid the kitchen. This is a while ago. I think this was July of 2019 is when I bought the house. So this was like a fun little project I did. And what's funny about the numbers when I bought them, my house number was actually on the corner of the packaging, which I thought was really interesting. So maybe it was a good sign or an omen to things to come. So fast forward, I think a full year, and I hire a landscaper to come by and rip everything out, put down some fabric, tarp, the stuff that goes under the mulch. And so he came by, he charged me $200, and he tore everything out, put down some mulch. And no matter how many times I requested, like, please, can you put down fabric so I don't have to deal with weeds? And he was like, no, just use weed killer. And I was like, no, I want to plant things there eventually, and I don't want to deal with weeds. I just want whatever I plant to come through. He's like, no, just keep spraying it with weed. So anyway, we compromised, and I didn't get my fabric. So fast forward a little further, and it now looks a little bit like this. It is in a bit of disarray, to say the least. The steps just, I don't know what happened. They just started falling apart, and the tan part just did not last at all. I was hoping to get a full year out of it before it started like getting discolored, but it's looking rough. So it all needs fixed. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. And so getting started, these railings actually rusted away. This was the only spot where I had to cut it. And as you can see, the top part, the rock around it fell apart, but the other railing was, I just pushed it over, and it didn't really last. So this was the beginning of where it all started coming apart. Literally. The treads, the top treads, I thought they'd be able to come right off, but as you can see, they were not going down without a fight. And these things weigh so much. I don't know what they are, just concrete and stone. But here, I finally got them all pried apart, and I guess I disturbed some snakes and a ton of ants. There was a massive ant hill. I ended up buying a spray just for the ants, and just spent hours breaking up the stone, and definitely got my workout in. So this is still a little bit of a confusion area for me. I thought, okay, well, how about I just redo the steps in concrete? No big deal, right? I'll make some sort of rudimentary template or frame that I can just pour the concrete right into. And I don't know how to properly do this. As you can see, I had a tape measure and a level, thinking this is definitely going to be enough, but it still wasn't enough, because as you can see, that last board is not even close to being straight. I don't know what I was doing there, but I did not let that deter me. Here I am with my brand new concrete mixing tray, whatever you want to call it. It's good enough for one bag, even though it spills over the sides. And but I was just like, you know, I haven't worked with concrete in a while. It's go time. It is time. And I grossly underestimated how long it takes to mix up a bag of concrete. It just, I was sitting there stirring it for what felt like an eternity, and it was just one bag, but I was still going. But you can't see my face here. This was the turning point. This is when I had that, oh no. It is going to take me an eternity to fill this with concrete. Like, that's just, I didn't even make a dent in that area. That was one bag, and I knew this is not going to work out. I need to think of something. So I took all the broken pieces and I filled it in, and you know, at the time I didn't think anything of it, but later on I started realizing this is a terrible idea, because all that rock is loose, right? So if you step on those steps for long enough, you know, the stones have their own settlement period. They move and they shift, and the top layer of concrete that you put on top is like, it might as well just be dirt. You know, it's gonna crumble and break and crack and fall apart. That's why we reinforce concrete with rebar and things like that. It's not good. So don't do what I did here. Don't do any of this, but this was my solution. And in this part, I show you just how long of a walk it was to fill up a bucket of water. It's all the way at the back of the house, and I don't own a hose. I don't know why. I don't know why I just didn't buy a 300-foot hose and just, I don't know. This was one of those projects I just went for it. I didn't do any research. I just went for it. Don't do that. So, quick time lapse of just endlessly mixing concrete and pouring it into this mold and hoping that the mold doesn't break away. And yeah, it was an all-day event. This took a while, but it wasn't so bad. I was still optimistic. The optimism grew back when I filled it with stone. Yeah, just young and naive. Look at me, a year older, thinking I know what I'm doing. Anyway, so here's where I remove the mold, and as you can see, it's rough. It looks like if you drilled a bunch of holes in Swiss cheese and then just left it outside for a while. It's bad. But kept on going on. And here you can see that none of the concrete went down into the mold. It just stayed on the surface, and that's no good. So the idea that I had to fix this was actually put another board in front of the concrete, just offset it like an inch or two, just enough to get a decent amount of concrete stuffed in there and give it a nice face, because it still wasn't the overall shape that I had in my mind in terms of measurements. Very rough idea, but I'll just put another board, clamp it, pour concrete into it, and then reface the steps. And the idea made sense. The execution was there. But the thing about living in Pennsylvania is you never know what the weather's going to be like. It is beautiful and sunny, and then the next minute it is pouring rain. I clearly remember checking the weather app too, and it said this was going to be a nice day, partly cloudy in the afternoon, but the job must go on. The bucket there says do it right. I should have listened to the bucket. Anyway, I just threw what I could in there, and then I grabbed a board and I just kind of shuffled it over there and covered it so it could dry or just remain less wet for whenever the rain passes, and I can go back to what I was doing. But I ended up waiting until the next day, and wouldn't you know it, it was beautiful. This was August, by the way. So last year I started this project in August, and here you can see a brand new face on the concrete. The new faces turned out pretty good. They look nice, a little bit more solid you know, for a nice surface to attach to. But there were still some bits that needed chipped off, and that's what I'm doing here. This was pretty easy, just, you know, annoying. More so for the neighbors, most likely. And then this is the next big mistake that you know, so what you don't want to do during a pandemic is go and buy something that is, you know, there's a shortage of it, which means the price is greatly inflated. But nonetheless, I had my heart set on Trex, which is what this is, and it is pricey, and I needed a good amount of it. But nonetheless, I saw all my neighbors have wooden steps, and I see them deteriorating and falling apart, and I didn't want that. So here I am, thinking I know what I'm doing. I'm using liquid nail, max strength construction adhesive that says it's rated for stone, but pro tip, no glue is rated for stone. None. This is a terrible idea, but I just kept on going, thinking I knew what I was doing, and just went with it. I'll show you later on why that was a bad idea, because, you know, it falls off. I'll just be honest. But here I'm gluing the corners, which is normally what you would do on building a deck. But what you don't do is glue it to concrete. Again, I'm doing my best here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. And so I put the boards down, and then I put a little bit of weight on top of it. Eventually, yeah, there we go. And wouldn't you know it, the corner breaks off. Probably because I didn't clamp it, and it's an uneven surface because, you know, my mold was awful. But here I am just fiddling around with it, just trying to get it to work, and it's just not working. There was a lot of time spent off camera trying to figure this out. But, you know, I did my best, and that's kind of the theme of this video anyway. So there I am just trimming that wood. I don't know why there was so much gap, but, oh, yeah, pro tip. I don't know if you know this already, but you can cut the tips of the glue bottles off with the thing. I don't know what it's called. But here it is, all glued together and looking awful. So quick commercial break and a shout out to Evolution Tools for sending me a brand new track saw and a stand for the miter saw they actually sent me a few years ago. They reached out again to see if I'd be interested in showcasing a product, and I said absolutely. I love Evo Tools. You've seen me use their miter saw in past videos, the circular saw, and countless other videos, and now I finally have a track saw, and man, do I love this thing. And unlike my craftsmanship, this thing's great. The tracks are expandable, it cuts smooth, straight, and you can keep expanding the tracks for even more length. It's awesome. So super handy, and of course, their bread and butter, the super versatile blade that will literally cut just about anything. I specifically use Evolution Tools for just that reason. You never know with this house. I'm cutting into wood and I'm hitting nails, screws, chicken wire, like I saw in the bathroom. I don't know, it's a mess, but thank you so much, Evolution, for sending me these tools. It is a huge help. So I will keep on using them. Anyway, let's get back to these steps. So here you can see the boards are starting to peel up. So I devised a new plan, which actually went really well. I'm pretty proud of this. So I pre-drilled through the Trex with a regular drill bit. And then what I did after that was just grab a much bigger drill bit and sunk it in like a 1/4 inch, just to like, whatever term, counter sink the screws. And then got my hammer drill with a drill bit rated for concrete and stone and things like that. And then I did the rest of the hole that way. And then you definitely want like an impact driver, because this was my regular drill couldn't get these screws in. So got an impact driver with an impact driver bit, which off camera I was using a regular bit, and that wasn't, I stripped it immediately. So this went really well. I gotta say, this is what I should have did, but you live and you learn, as Alanis Morissette once said, or whatever. But yeah, that went really well, so I did that with all the boards, except the vertical ones. I wanted to see if they stood up over time, because they haven't fallen off yet. I don't know why the ones that laid flat popped up, but the ones that are on the front face did not pop up yet. So I'm going to leave that as is, and if they start coming off, then I'll drill them in, because it kind of looks ugly with a Tapcon. I think that's what they're called. The blue screws that are rated for concrete. It looks a little weird with that sticking out of the front. So hopefully it holds up. So I'm going to shorten this pipe, and if worse comes to worse, we get a ton of rain, something happens, my basement floods, and this thing's pumping out some serious water, I'm just going to grab just a gutter extension and put it out into the street where there's a rain gutter, whatever. And that's fine. So it's really unsightly, and I don't want it. Anyway, I'm chipping off some paint here because I need to paint this. And it's all loose paint. I mean, obviously, I don't know why I'm explaining this. It's clear. But this is the part that's not so clear. And I tried buying really thin concrete. I think it was the yellow bags of concrete, the vinyl stuff. And it doesn't have the big aggregate like regular concrete, and you can get like a really smooth finish. And me not knowing what I'm doing, figured I can get this to work. I'll figure it out. So I come home and I start mixing it up, and I put a little too much water in it. And so I don't know I don't know how to get it onto the thing. It runs right off the trowel. I don't know. So I'm fed up. I'm throwing it onto the wall here. And then once I throw it onto the wall, I get enough on there, then I can smooth it with the trowel. Maybe. So I grabbed some concrete primer, and man, don't you hate when that happens? You get a thing of paint, and you start rolling it, and the roller just doesn't want to roll. It just sticks. So you just have paint on the one side, and then you have to use the surface of whatever you're painting on to be your new roller. But whatever. So I'm putting on. This was a really like half-inch nap roller. It was one of the thick ones. So that went on pretty easily, and then here I am trying to clean up this window. When I bought the house, I didn't even know there was a window here. It was covered by all the bushes, and then when I went down to the basement, I saw the window. I was like, oh, that's nice. It's private, nobody can see in because of the bushes, but I really wanted something nice here, like not something you can clearly see into the basement, but it cleaned up and looking modern, to say the least. So this was a pretty simple project. Just clean, scrape, and then go to the other side of the window, clean and scrape. And then I have some of this frosted glass, which I love. I've used this many times. And a pro tip, wear a face mask, obviously. But also the side that you are going to see most often, you want to keep that glossy, like the glass, like the very smooth, shiny glass side. The side you don't spend any time looking at, or nobody's there, that's the part you want to spray. So I'll spray on the inside, since I don't spend any time in my basement, and people walking by, or me when I'm looking at my shoddy workmanship, I want to be able to have that nice, clean, glossy glass. So you get it. So you spray the inside that you're not going to see, and then the outside is nice and fogged, and it's a nice even coat. So now I'm going to put the color on, because I didn't plan on putting white at that bottom. I wanted it really dark. So I bought the darkest color they had, and it was light blue. It says gray, but it's light blue. So that was a little bit of a bummer. So I went back, spent more money, and got the color that I actually wanted mixed, and it turned out great. I really like the black on there. I forget the name of the paint code, but it's just really dark gray. It's the darkest swatch I could find. But moving on, we now have the railings, and surprisingly enough, this went really well. No snags whatsoever. The only thing I ran into was the fact that I think it calls for lag bolts to keep the post secure, which is why those holes are so big. The screw head just cleanly fits right through it. So I just put some washers in there. Probably not the best thing you can do, but it's nice and sturdy. I was wiggling on it, and it wasn't moving around. So the post went in just fine, and then here I am starting to put in the railings. So these railings come longer than what you need, obviously. So when you trim them, just make sure that you center the post holes in the like where you want the post to go. You don't want one post hole to be right up against the wall while there is a huge gap on the other side. You want it nice, clean, and centered. So I did a little bit of trial and error with this just to get it tuned in just right. I climbed up on the cuts. I didn't just measure it and cut once. I just did little by little until it wedged in there without pushing the post away, and that seemed to work just fine. So once I got the railings cut, it was just a matter of dropping in the post. The post needed trimmed as well, but you don't need to see that. It was pretty cut and dry. No pun intended. But yeah, this went really well. So I rewarded myself with the most expensive post cap Lowe's had to offer. All the post caps are like $6, $7. These are $20 each. I'm already in it. Might as well. I really like the look of when they light up. So, you know, it is what it is. So now I'm going to cover up this front fascia piece. I don't know what it's actually called. Just the thing that's ugly is now no longer ugly. And I'm using like a PVC-based trim here. And making sure that reveal is nice and crooked on the bottom as well. Yeah. So here it is. So far, so good. Just chugging along. So I had some of that L-shaped trim left over. So just continuing on the motif of not knowing what to do. The ends of Trex boards are just really gross. You're not supposed to see the ends, but how I made this, you see the ends. So I put those on there just because, I don't know. I'm just going to move on. Here we have the fabric, the main event. This is why we're doing it, folks. The fabric that I wanted since day one. So just putting down some fabric. And this is just a really inexpensive garden liner. The purpose of this in my mind is to weed whack up against, because I don't run the mower into the mulch, because it's, you know, the mulch sits up a little higher than the grass, and if you put your wheel up there, you know, it's so I like having a little edge there. So grab some mulch, and now we are in September, late September, I think, and mulch is getting a little hard to find for some reason. I guess they either ran out or something, I don't know. So I just bought what they had, and it wasn't enough, and I dealt with it. So here I am painting the sides of the concrete. As you can see, I lined that a little better. I made it a little nicer. And the thing I didn't include is this. So when it's all said and done, I want it to look like this. I want there to be a nice big trim piece that covers the side of this halfway and gives it the illusion of being a traditional built step, like built out of wood step per se. It gives it a little extra pizzazz, I guess. So I did it to the other side, which I didn't film because the other side was kind of my learn how to do it, and then this side is do it right. I had such a hard time getting this piece cut and fitted that I was not confident that I can even do it right a second time. I was making templates out of like paper and foam core and just whatever I had laying around, and no matter how many times I would trim the template, it didn't seem to want to fit. So I cut it and I put it on there, and so the other side looks really bad. And this side, I haven't even done yet. It's February now. Time flies when you're struggling. But anyway, just finishing this off, I wanted to put on some grip tape, because if you know anything about Trex, is that it's slippery. It is very slippery when it's wet, when there's snow on there. If you just look at it, you might fall. And so I bought some clear anti-slip tape. As you can see, it's clear. You can't even see it on there. Very clear. It doesn't even stick either. So that was just another bad investment, I guess. I don't know. I think you need a roller. I've seen people use rollers on vinyl flooring, stick-on vinyl flooring, like not laminate. I guess laminate, linoleum, stuff like that. I think you use a roller for, and I think you would probably use a roller for this too, because it would only adhere with extreme pressure. But anyway, here it is. 90% of the way there. See, I didn't have enough mulch, but it's looking good. It's looking good. As you can see, there's that missing trim piece, but the other side had that trim. I'm pretty sure there's somebody staring at me through the window there, but all things considered, this turned out okay. It turned out okay. And the reason it's been taking me so long is because I was gonna keep working on it. But once it's fall, again, the thing about PA is you'll have a 50-degree sunny day, and then you'll have this. And it is miserable to work outside. People do it, but me, I don't know. So anyways, thank you for watching this mess that I got myself into, and I hope you got something out of it. I hope you laughed along with me, and it has been a good learning experience for you as it was for me. And yeah, I will see you again very soon. Subscribe, like, share, hit the bell icon, do all that good stuff. Check out Evolution Tools, and I will see you again very soon. Thank you again.